China is showing off its increasing global power with its biggest ever military parade. Officially, the event is being held to mark 80 years since Japan surrendered in 1945, which marked the end of the Second World War. Now, these are live pictures from Beijing, where the display of military hardware is underway in the city's Tiananmen Square. President Xi Jinping has invited Russia's Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong Un to join him in reviewing the parade. Xi is due to deliver a keynote address as part of the ceremony.
It is also like a song of triumph, presenting the time and space to tell our fallen heroes.
All right, I'm joined now by DW's Rik Glauert in Taipei. Rik, great to have you on the show. So what message is China trying to send?
Well, the first one is really of China's military clout. We've seen those soldiers walking in lockstep, jets flying overhead, and parades of military vehicles, tanks, and other armory. And what this is really showing is China's rapid expansion and modernization of its military. It's also a way for Xi Jinping to sort of retell some history here. He's upping China's role in World War II and in defeating Japan, and whipping up some nationalism at home at a time when China is facing some problems like slowing economic growth, youth unemployment, and of course those bubbling trade tensions with the US. It's also an important chance for Xi to show his diplomatic heft. He's gathered 24 world leaders there, including Xi and Putin, and he's really showing himself as the center of a new constellation of power.
Now, North Korea's Kim Jong Un is one of those leaders who's there. It's a rare appearance for him abroad. So what does Kim want out of this trip to China?
Yeah, this is a really rare opportunity for Kim to be seen at one of these big international multilateral events alongside other world leaders, show himself alongside strongman Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, showing that international isolation doesn't work. There's also a chance, of course, for him to shore up ties with China, which North Korea relies on for much of its food, fuel, and trade. But most importantly, it's about the optics, about Kim showing he can attend events like this, giving him some legitimacy back home.
Now, Rik, you are in Taiwan, of course. How is Taiwan viewing China's massive military parade?
Well, unfavourably would be the short answer. People here, officials here in Taiwan, have been accusing China of rewriting history, reminding people that, in their opinion, it was not the Chinese Communist Party that was in charge of China at that time, but it was the nationalists, the government that later fled to Taiwan after the Chinese Civil War. Taiwan has also used this as a chance to remind everyone of China's aggression. China claims Taiwan as part of its sovereign territory and has not ruled out using military force to take Taiwan. And indeed, some of the weaponry that we're expected to see on display today could be used in an attack on Taiwan. Things like anti-ship missiles and combat drones that could traverse Taiwan's mountainous territory. Interestingly, Taiwan has also flagged the cost of this parade, putting the estimated value at about $5 billion and saying that that is money that could be better spent helping China's people.
All right, Rik, we're going to leave it there. DW's Rik Glauert in Taipei for us. Thank you.
It's a carefully choreographed show of common power. China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and North Korea's Kim Jong Un are appearing in front of the world's cameras at a pivotal time. President Xi's massive World War II anniversary parade is more than a display of China's weapons and military hardware. By getting his friends in a row, he's presenting himself as the leader of a powerful counterweight to Western global dominance. Vladimir Putin, who faces an international arrest warrant and sanctions over his full-scale invasion of Ukraine, is spending 4 days in China, an unusually long foreign trip. And for North Korean leader Kim, it's a rare chance to participate in a major international spectacle. For Moscow and Pyongyang, both isolated on the world stage and keen to project legitimacy back home, the optics are invaluable. Standing side by side with the leader of the world's second biggest economy, with no major Western power in sight. Xi's vision of a new global order with him as the kingpin is bolstered by their presence in Beijing.
The world has entered a new period of turbulence and transformation, and global governance now stands at a crossroads.
This vision won't go down well with Donald Trump, who's keen to maintain and expand US power and his own influence in world politics. He's courted Putin.
We've always had a great relationship, very good relationship, strong relationship with Russia. That's a good thing, not a bad thing, by the way.
And North Korea, even praising Kim in front of South Korea's leader.
I can only say the meeting was a very good one, very strong, very solid, great relationship.
Today, the US president will have to watch three nations led by men whose projection of strength he's expressed admiration for, standing shoulder to shoulder in public for the first time, with China as the power broker and he himself quite literally out of the picture.
Well, to talk about Kim Jong Un's trip to China, we are now joined by Jean Lee, Presidential Chair at the East-West Centre and the former AP Pyongyang Bureau Chief. Great to have you on DW News. First and foremost, how surprised were you that Kim Jong Un accepted China's invitation and actually travelled to Beijing?
It's always a surprise when Kim Jong Un travels abroad. He doesn't do it very often. I think what was most surprising was that he brought his daughter along. So this is a really significant trip because it's the first time that Kim Jong Un, the leader of North Korea, is participating in a big international event. We've seen him do some bilateral trips, but this will see him in this context with other world leaders. So that is a significant difference and milestone. And then again, of course, bringing his daughter. So we should remember that so much of what the North Korean leader does has been shrouded in secrecy in the past. So this is a new level of transparency that we're seeing from North Korea and maybe an attempt to really try to normalize his leadership. So very interesting indeed to see this unfold in real time.
In real time, indeed. I just want to actually take you up on what you were just sort of saying there, which is what does actually Kim Jong Un want out of the meeting, we'll say, with President Xi Jinping and the other leaders in China who were there for this parade?
There is so much that this event is going to offer him. Not only is it the chance to restore relations with China, Kim Jong Un has been prioritizing his relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia and that North Korea-Russia relationship, but this is a chance to reestablish the connection with his traditional ally, which is China. It's also an opportunity to stand with them shoulder to shoulder in some sense, opposition to the global world order led by the West and the United States. And I have to tell you that aside from what it tells us, right, the signal that he is back, he's now out of isolation and back in business, but it also gives him incredible propaganda back home, because to be able to go back home and with all this imagery that this event is going to provide him improves his standing back home and gives him a lot more legitimacy. So certainly not only in the tangible meetings, the tangible outcomes of whatever meetings he has on the sidelines, but also that propaganda element that it gives him both at home and abroad.
Now, one of the leaders present, as we've mentioned, is Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, Kim and Putin have met twice in recent years. What's your take on their relationship and the importance of it for North Korea?
It has been very interesting to watch all of this evolve. When I was in Pyongyang, that relationship had fallen by the wayside so far that it was seen as a historical relationship, but not one that was very active in the present day. But in the last couple of years, this is a time where North Korea has had something that Russia has needed, has had something that Vladimir Putin has needed, and that is both ammunition for the campaign, the war in Ukraine, as well as soldiers. So we've seen North Korea, we've seen Kim Jong Un send soldiers to North Korea. So this is a transactional relationship that for once has really benefited them both. Now, what we don't know is exactly what Kim Jong Un is getting in return. And that is what should have us very worried. There are certain elements of science and technology that they may be getting that may help elevate North Korea's nuclear program to another level. And that's certainly what I do think that the United States and South Korea and Japan and other allies are concerned about.
Well, let's bring in the United States because, of course, Donald Trump said last week he wants to meet Kim Jong Un. How much appetite is there in Pyongyang for talks on its nuclear program, though?
I do think that that is a meeting that we will see happen. When, I don't know. I think some steps will have to happen before that, before it's a face-saving opportunity that he can take advantage of. I think he will make the United States and South Korea squirm in the meantime in order to gain some leverage. But I think we all need to be prepared. Things could happen very quickly, depending on how things unfold in Beijing and how things unfold between President Trump and, I would say, President Putin.
Fascinating talking to you, Jean. I'm sure I have loads of questions I want to ask you about your time in Pyongyang, but we don't have time now for that. Jean Lee, Presidential Chair at the East-West Centre, thank you for joining us on DW News.
Thank you so much.